The night Kale Dorn refused to fall, they lit him on fire. It happened in the service corridor behind Arena Caldrath's east gate, the narrow passage, where fighters moved between the warm-up rooms and the floor, where the crowd noise came through the walls like distant thunder. Promoter Vane Cross stood at one end with two of his handlers. Champion Drev Solon stood at the other. A metal canister loose in one hand, expression flat. Kale had walked in thinking it was a pre-bout briefing. He understood what it actually was about 4 seconds too late. They found him 3 hours later when a maintenance worker followed the smell. Both hands pressed flat against the concrete, trying to push himself up. He couldn't. The nerve channels across his palms, his forearms, and the left side of his torso had taken critical thermal damage. The attending physician at the charity ward on the south side of Caldrath wrote 3 words in the intake file. Unlikely to fight. The arena board accepted Vane Cross's doping charge the following morning, without requesting a single document of evidence. Kale Dorn's registration was voided. His fight record 11 wins, 0 losses, the best entry division run in 3 years, was struck from the public leaderboard. By the end of the week, the card for the championship bout had been reprinted with a different name in the top slot. Drev Solon knocked that man out in the second round and raised both fists to a full arena. Kale watched it on the charity ward's ceiling-mounted screen with his hands wrapped in gauze and said nothing. He was discharged 41 days later with a physiotherapist's contact card and no money. He did not contact the physiotherapist. He rented a storage unit on the edge of the Caldrath warehouse district. 12 feet by 10, a bare bulb, cracked concrete floor, and he started training. The first session lasted 9 minutes before the scar tissue across his palms tore open. He wrapped them tighter and went again the next morning. The session after that lasted 11 minutes. The one after that, 14. He kept a count on the wall in chalk, not of days but of sessions completed, because days without sessions didn't count, and some days had 2. The number climbed slowly, 12, 31, 58, 90. On the 91st session, the system spoke for the first time. It arrived without sound. A pressure behind the sternum, like a breath held for too long finally releasing, and then the classification window opened in his vision as clearly as a pane of glass catching light. System. Thermal damage threshold exceeded across 71% of primary nerve channels. Dormant class conditions met. Ember Sovereign. Activating. Char token accumulation. Active. Current total. 91 classification. Unranked above force the Ember. Kale looked at the window for a long moment. Then he closed his hand, slowly, through the resistance of the scar tissue, and felt, first time since the corridor, something move in his knuckles that wasn't pain. It was pressure. Contained, banked, patient. Like heat stored in stone hours after the fire has gone out. He picked up the chalk and added a mark to the wall. The system's logic was simple and merciless. Every training session completed through damaged nerve channels deposited 1 char token. The tokens did not expire. They did not plateau, they stacked. 91, 140, 200, 280. And the system offered no milestone rewards. No intermediate powers, no shortcuts. It offered one thing. At 500 tokens, Ignition Pulse would become available. A single strike. Every token discharged simultaneously through the point of contact. Unblockable by any ranked defense. Unclassifiable by any arena measurement system. The system's own notes on the ability were 4 words. Do not waste it. Kale had no intention of wasting it. He re-entered the Caldrath circuit on day 312 of training under a blank registration. No name filed, no sponsor, no record attached. The arena board's intake clerk told him blank registrations were irregular. Kale placed the registration fee on the counter and said nothing. The clerk processed it. The leaderboard listed him as unranked, entry slot 0, name field. His first bout lasted 47 seconds. His opponent was a mid-tier ranked fighter on Vane Cross's card, a man who had been given Kale's old entry division slot after the voiding. The fighter threw 3 combinations. Kale moved through all 3 without being touched, placed 1 closed-hand strike to the solar plexus, and stood back. The fighter went down. The arena clock stopped. The leaderboard updated. 1 win. In the crowd, nobody knew who he was. In the promoter's box, Vane Cross leaned forward in his chair. Kale did not look at the box. He walked to the exit and went back to the storage unit and trained. The pattern repeated. A new bout, a new opponent from Cross's stable, short fight, a single walkout. Kale never spoke to press. He never signed an autograph. He never registered a name. The leaderboard entry, unranked, accumulated wins the way the wall accumulated chalk marks, 6, 11, 19, 28. Every fighter Cross fielded against him came back with the same report. He doesn't hurt you until he does. And then it's over. Char tokens, 388, then 420, then 461. On day 701, Vane Cross filed a formal complaint with the arena board, requesting that the blank registration be voided on the grounds of procedural irregularity. The board reviewed the file and declined. The registration fee had been paid correctly. The wins were verified. There was no regulation requiring a name. Cross left the board meeting and went directly to Drev Solin's training facility. Kale knew the conversation had happened before Cross's car had left the facility parking structure. The Ember Sovereign system updated its environmental read. The moment Solin's registration for the next championship card was filed, system flagged it with a single line, primary target confirmed on card, char token count 499. Ignition pulse available at next completion. He went back to the storage unit that night and ran the final session. 9 minutes. Clean. The scar tissue held. When he closed his fist at the end, the pressure inside it was enormous. Not painful, not uncomfortable, simply full. The way a reservoir is full, patient behind its wall, going nowhere until the gate opens. Char token accumulation complete. 500. Ignition pulse. Note. Discharge is total. Remainder. He looked at the chalk wall. The count read 500. He set the chalk down and did not add another mark. There was nothing left to count. The championship bout was held on a Friday. Arena Caldrath filled to its licensed capacity. 4,000 seats, standing room behind the upper rails. Broadcast running to 11 regional feeds. Drev Solin entered to the kind of reception a champion receives in a city that has watched him hold the top slot for 3 years. Loud, long, certain. He raised both fists at the center of the floor the way he always did, the crowd answered. Kale Dorn entered from the east gate, the same corridor. In dark wraps and plain gear, no corner crew, no music. The announcement system read his entry as it always did. Unranked. Crowd did not know what to do with that. They went quiet in patches. The silence, spreading outward from the people closest to the floor who had seen his previous bouts. Vane Cross sat in the promoter's box with 2 arena investigators flanking him. He did not know they were investigators. He believed they were consultants the board had sent to observe the irregular registration in person. He had requested their attendance himself, weeks prior as part of his complaint. The bout began. Drev Solin was a genuine champion, fast, technically correct, 3 years of top card experience behind every combination he threw. He opened with his standard sequence. A jab to gauge distance, cross to test the guard, a lateral shift to find the angle. Kale moved through the first 2 without engaging, absorbed the third on his forearm, and stepped back to center. The crowd murmured. The broadcast commentator noted that Unranked had not yet thrown a single strike. Solin pressed again. Another sequence, this one longer, more committed, designed to push an opponent to the boundary rope. Kale moved with it, around it, giving ground without urgency, expression unchanged. The scar tissue across his palms and forearms registered every impact as a dull, familiar pressure. It did not slow him. It had not slowed him in 847 days. At the 2-minute mark, Solin threw the strike that had finished every opponent in his championship run. A driving overhand right, full rotation, the technique that had put the man who'd taken Kale's slot on the canvas in the second round of his title defense. It was fast. It was accurate. It landed on the guard Kale raised to receive it. Kale felt it arrive. He felt the weight of it, the commitment behind it, the full 3 years of certainty that this was the strike that ended fights. He lowered the guard. He stepped forward. He closed his right hand. He drove the ignition pulse into the center of Drev Solin's chest. The system discharge was not visible. It produced no light, no sound beyond the impact itself. A single closed-hand strike that landed with the accumulated force of 500 sessions of scar tissue, training releasing simultaneously through one point of contact. The arena's measurement system registered the impact, and then stopped registering its classification window, returning a single output. Above measurable force. Drev Solon left his feet. He came down on his back at the boundary rope and did not move. The arena clock ran. The referee counted. Solon's hands did not come up. At 10 the bout was over. The arena was silent for almost 4 full seconds, the kind of silence that follows, something no one has the category for. Then the broadcast commentator said, very quietly, "Unranked wins the championship bout." In the promoter's box, one of the 2 men flanking Vane Cross placed a credential on the armrest beside him. Arena Fraud Investigation Division. Cross looked at it. He looked at the floor, where Drev Solon was being helped upright by the medical team. Upright, but not standing on his own, his legs not yet responding the way legs should. He looked back at the credential. The investigators did not raise their voices. They did not need to. Broadcast was live on 11 feeds. The fabricated doping charge documentation, filed 3 years ago, pulled from the Arena Board's own archive that morning under investigative warrant, was already being read into the record in an adjacent room. Ross said something. Nobody near him responded. Cale Dorn walked to the east gate. He did not stop at the press area. He did not stop at the leaderboard terminal. He passed the mouth of the service corridor without looking at it, pushed the gate open, and walked out into the Caldrath night air. Behind him, in the arena, the leaderboard updated one final time. The blank registration entry, unranked, 29 wins, had a new line beneath the win count, added automatically when the measurement system returned its classification. Unranked above Force the Ember. Below it, in the next slot, Drev Solon's entry set unchanged at 3 years and 1 loss. The loss column had never had a number in it before tonight. The storage unit on the edge of the warehouse district was 12 feet by 10. Bare bulb, cracked concrete floor, a chalk wall with 500 marks on it. Cale Dorn did not go back to it. There was nothing left there that he needed.